He strutted into South Korea like a man untouchable, a red MAGA hat perched defiantly on his head, a selfie stick in one hand, and an ego too massive for any border to contain. His name was Johnny Somali, a self-proclaimed freedom fighter, a provocateur, a performer, or so he claimed. In reality, he was just another internet clown, mistaking harassment for entertainment, provocation for art. What began as crude jokes and disruptive antics on crowded Seoul buses has spiraled into a full-blown international criminal case. Unless a miracle intervenes, or the US State Department conveniently forgets his existence, Johnny Somali now faces the very real prospect of spending the next 36 years in a South Korean prison. This is no exaggeration, no hypothetical. This is the stark future, staring down a man who, instead of de-escalating, apologizing, or showing even a flicker of remorse, chose to double down. He mocked the Korean justice system, he insulted the judge presiding over his case, he even threatened the judge's mother. And then, as if daring fate, he doubled down again, live streaming his defiance for the world to see.
Korean investigation document. These niggas been interrogating me for months, for days. These niggas on my ass.
This is the story of a man who turned a camera into a weapon, a foreign country into his stage, and real people into props for his content. It's a story about the internet's insatiable thirst for attention, and what happens when that thirst overrides human dignity, common sense, and the law. Johnny Somali didn't start as a criminal, he started as a nuisance. A streamer with a knack for pushing buttons, he arrived in South Korea with a playbook familiar to anyone who scrolled through the darker corners of the internet. Shock, offend, repeat. His early stunts were irritating but relatively harmless, blaring loud music on public buses, cracking tasteless jokes in crowded spaces, and filming the reactions of strangers who didn't sign up to be his content. To Johnny, this was entertainment. To the people around him, it was harassment. But the line between annoyance and illegality is thin, and Johnny crossed it with reckless abandon. He wasn't content with small provocations. He escalated, creating deepfake videos of strangers, including one depicting a kiss that never happened, and broadcasting them to his audience. He targeted Korean citizens in public, laughing at their discomfort, mocking their culture, and calling it content. South Korea, however, called it something else, criminal. At multiple points, Johnny had the chance to walk away. He was arrested early on, warned by authorities, and released with a clear message, stop. A rational person might have booked a flight back to the United States, deleted the controversial videos, and moved on. But Johnny wasn't rational. He was addicted to the attention, the clicks, the fleeting fame that comes with being the internet's loudest voice. Instead of leaving, he live-streamed himself committing the same acts he'd been warned about. More loud music, more deepfakes, more harassment. He didn't just ignore the warnings, he taunted them. The turning point came in a Seoul courtroom, where Johnny's antics collided head-on with a legal system that doesn't play games.
So the thing is, we just got out of the trial. It went absolutely terrible for Johnny, because Johnny showed up more than an hour late with a MAGA hat on and a big bottle of water, and he was just screaming at essentially he got in trouble for, number one, wearing the hat, and number two, the bottle. So now there's 4 charges that was in that trial, correct?
There are 4 charges against him, but only 3 of them were addressed today.
Okay.
The 4th charge, which he just discovered about the other day, which I brought up on my stream 2 days ago, and he got the notice of in Korean yesterday. Actually, didn't even get it. Sorry.
So, oh wow.
He didn't know anything about it today, and his lawyer didn't know anything about it.
Yeah, they were
today.
pretty shocked.
Oh, okay. So that was a separate charge. Was that the charge that he was showing?
The new obstruction.
Oh, the newest obstruction charge. Okay, yeah. So there's another charge as well that's coming against him.
What happened next was almost incomprehensible. Facing the possibility of decades in prison, Johnny didn't plead for leniency or show contrition. Instead, he taunted the judge on camera, joking that he'd bring a fish to the judge's mother's house, a bizarre, disrespectful jab that only deepened the hole he was digging. He laughed at the legal system, treating it like another prank for his channel, as if he were a misunderstood genius rather than a man on trial for serious crimes. The courtroom, by contrast, was a picture of solemnity. It was a diverse scene, rare for Seoul. Koreans, Americans, South Africans, Jewish and Pakistani attendees all gathered to witness how justice would unfold. The prosecutors were methodical, laying out a damning case. They detailed Johnny's past offenses, blaring ape sounds on a bus, broadcasting deepfake videos, harassing citizens in public spaces, and added new charges to the list. Johnny had already pled guilty to 5 lesser charges, but the 2 most serious ones, each carrying a potential 10.5-year sentence, loomed large. Yet he acted untouchable, winking at the crowd as if the trial were just another performance. The prosecution wasn't amused. They presented evidence of Johnny's lies, false claims about his address, his student status, his intentions. All of it was on record, much of it from his own streams. The case was airtight, but Johnny fought the major charges with nothing but attitude. No evidence, no witnesses, just vibes. He seemed to believe that his American citizenship was a shield, even hinting that a US embassy representative at the hearing might intervene on his behalf. But that's not how it works. Embassy officials monitor, they don't meddle, and South Korea's judges, unmoved by Johnny's theatrics, signaled that this case was about more than one reckless streamer. Johnny Somali's trial isn't just about one man's bad decisions, it's about whether foreign influencers can waltz into South Korea, disrupt public spaces, harass citizens, and walk away unscathed. The Korean justice system is sending a message: they won't tolerate it. As the case has grown from a petty nuisance to a national spectacle, the stakes have risen, witnesses are lining up to testify. The public is watching closely, and the court has made it clear that this is no laughing matter. If Johnny goes down, he'll serve as a warning to every clout chaser who thinks a camera and a Wi-Fi connection make them invincible. His case could set a precedent, not just for streamers, but for anyone who prioritizes content over consequence. South Korea, a country that values order and respect, is drawing a line in the sand. And Johnny, with his MAGA hat and selfie stick, is on the wrong side of it. Johnny isn't the only one paying the price. His friend Hank, who let him crash in his Seoul apartment, is now entangled in the mess. Hank's neighbors caught them dancing in black robes on the rooftop the night before another stunt for Johnny's channel. Hank, once a loyal friend, is now a reluctant caretaker, dealing with the fallout of Johnny's actions. Reporters hound them outside the courthouse. Protesters wave signs condemning Johnny. Hank's family, who reportedly despise Johnny, are stuck footing the bill for an apartment that might soon be empty if Johnny is convicted. On stream, Hank's frustration is palpable. He's emotional, saying he's being punished by association, his life upended by a friend who refuses to take responsibility. Loyalty has its limits, and enabling someone who's spiraling towards self-destruction isn't loyalty, it's lunacy. Yet Johnny continues to live with Hank, eat his food, sleep on his couch, and drag his name through the mud. What's most striking about Johnny Somali is his utter disregard for the consequences. Days after the trial, he was back to streaming. Not about the charges, not about the court, but about reaction videos. He seemed more concerned with who was talking about him online than the fact that he might spend the rest of his adult life behind bars. This is a man who turned real people into punchlines, their discomfort into content, and now acts baffled when it all comes crashing down. His followers, a small but vocal group, still defend him. They call it performance art, claim he's exposing censorship, or insist he's a misunderstood genius. But genius doesn't look like this. Genius doesn't plead not guilty to crimes caught on camera. Genius doesn't burn bridges with the people who support them. And genius doesn't leave a trail of chaos and criminal charges in its wake. The tragedy of Johnny Somali is how avoidable it all was. He had countless opportunities to change course. He could have apologized, left the country, or shut down his streams. But attention is a drug. And for Johnny, and Johnny was hooked. Once you build your identity on controversy, backing down isn't an option. You have to keep pushing, keep escalating, keep chasing the next viral moment. And for Johnny, that meant louder stunts, dumber decisions, and a deeper hole. Now, as another trial looms and more charges pile up, the outcome feels inevitable. The Korean court has signaled its intent. The evidence is overwhelming, and Johnny, still chasing views, seems oblivious to the fact that the show is nearly over. Johnny Somali's story is a warning to every creator who thinks the rules don't apply to them. It's a reminder that the internet isn't a lawless playground, that actions have consequences, and that no amount of clout is worth your freedom. When the views fade, when the audience moves on, all that's left are the choices you made. For Johnny, that legacy might be a list of criminal charges, a friend who regrets ever meeting him, and a prison sentence that could last a lifetime. 36 years isn't a meme, it's not a stream, it's a reality. And as Johnny Somali faces the consequences of his actions, the world watches, not for the content, but for the lesson.